Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create the instance of PostgreSQL database on Microsoft's Azure. So first thing, we will create this instance, then we will later connect it to say TablePlus, right? So what is TablePlus? We'll take a look at that. It's basically a data admin tool, and it will allow you to connect to a variety of cloud and local database connections, right? So we go to Azure, then click on services. Now here within services, if you click on database, you will find list of all the possible servers that you can set up on Azure cloud, right? Now here I will click on Azure database for PostgreSQL, and here you can see I already have one instance running. So if I choose to create that with something new, here you can see the new deployment option where we have to choose between two. One, choose Azure database for Postgres or Azure Cosmos DB for Postgres. So out of these two, you can choose the Azure database for PostgreSQL. Now within that you have option called flexible server, which is good for starting from scratch, then single server for any existing application, and Azure Arc for the Arc related features, right? So we pick the flexible server and move ahead. Now once loaded, here you will notice the configurations that you can pick, and immediately on the right you will have its estimated cost. So you have project where you have subscription to choose from, resource to choose from, then server details, right? Then you have region to choose from, also the Postgres version to choose from, right? All of these you have possible there. Then there is workload type. You can see we have small production, large production, and development. The price will vary based on what you choose here. So I'll pick development, and price will go down immediately. Also, if you pick the region, you will also notice the change in price, right? For example, sometimes Asia is cheaper and other times US is cheaper. Maybe in sometimes you will find Europe is cheaper, all because based on the amount of traffic, amount of people requesting connection, and so on, right? So less the demand, there will be chance that that region would have the service for cheaper cost, right? Then comes compute and storage option where you have to choose the configuration. So the most cheap configuration would have 1 GB RAM and 32 GB storage to choose from, right? Then we will skip the high availability option because it would add up the cost. Then comes authentication. Now here you have option to choose from, say PostgreSQL authentication or Azure Active Directory, and mix of both, right? So Azure Active Directory you can set up separately and later come to this point and then add and then use that to connect as well. So that also works on Azure cloud, but I'm skipping that and I'm trying to make my role easier by simply choosing authentication option, right? So in that I will just pick the username and then pick the password. Once we add all of these details, I will go for review and create, which would create the instance like, let's see, this, which I already created. So I will point you to that. So click on the instance there, and here you will see my instance being deployed has server name, username, version, right? And there is one more important thing to point out, which is networking, right? So here first thing to do is firewall rules. Make sure to add all your client IP and all the available IP address and reduce the denial of service issue. Right now here you will also have to download SSL certificate, which makes connecting from any app easier for you, right? So make sure to download this. I also downloaded it and stored here. You can then simply copy its path and use it within your application of choice. Right, now let's come back to the application that we are going to download. So TablePlus, so it allows you to connect to a variety of databases both online as well as on the desktop. So as you can see, Postgres is their choice as well. You can also connect to other databases, Cassandra, etc., and easily get access to your database tables. You can manipulate and create some projects out of that, right? So whenever you are creating something using cloud, it helps to use free services like this. So you can download the TablePlus for Windows and Mac, right? So I'm on Windows, so I will download this. Once you download, installer is very easy. Just run and you have TablePlus installed. Then open it and it should look something like this. Now it will ask you for some of the details. So let's click on this plus sign and then choose PostgreSQL. Now here I will use Azure PostgreSQL, right? Then I will add details like, let's say I will go to my instance overview, select the server name, right, and I will add that as host. Then port is always 5432 in case of PostgreSQL. Then you have your user, also default database is Postgres. Then password, let's add that. Let me add the password. Then comes the SSL, which is preferred mode. Now for that I downloaded a CA certificate like I mentioned you before and put it into a directory. So I will just point out to that directory. Now I need to verify that if this test will be successful. I'll just click on test and it will tell you in return connection is okay because we managed to give the SSL CA certificate, right? So if you skip this particular part of CA certificate, you will find that your connection is in denial. So that can be only solved with two options. One, allowing your CA root certificate, and second, as I mentioned before, clicking on networking, allowing all ports access as well as allowing your own current IP the access, right? If you don't do this and save this setting, then you won't be able to connect. Make sure that whenever you make any changes to your Postgres SQL server with networking option, make sure to restart your instance of PostgreSQL, right? Because that is the only way for those settings to take effect, right? And then you will be able to establish the connection. So it will take a few tries just in case if you are constantly getting those CA certificate error along with your IP errors, right? So make sure to do at least one restart and things will start to connect, right? Now coming back to TablePlus, we can see that our connection was success. I can give it a status color. Now I can save this and simply say connect, and at the top you can see it will show you the status for your connection, right? And here as you can see it will show me any existing table it has. I can also import data from CSV or SQL dump, that also works. So we can always take a look at those options in case we want to bulk upload some data, right? So let's take a look at the option we have. So let's say if we take a look at new tab, ID name as my table structure, right? If I want to add something, I will just add row, say this is first ID and name, let's say my name, right? And then let's just use Control S and then changes will be saved. Now again go to add one more row, add second entry, and we add name like this, then control S, and the count data will be committed. This will happen as soon as you use control S, right? So as you can see, we are working on our database that we created on Azure with our PostgreSQL instance, and we managed to connect to it through TablePlus. So we managed to do two things: one, creating the instance, then connecting to that instance through external tool like TablePlus.